The city was cold that night. The streets were almost empty, except for the sound of the wind pushing through the broken buildings. Far away, car horns echoed, but here under the old bridge, silence ruled. A boy lay curled up on the hard concrete floor. His clothes were torn, his shoes had holes, and his face was pale. He was no older than 12. His stomach growled, but there was no food. His only treasure was a thin old blanket. It was not enough to keep him warm, but it was all he had in this world. The boy pulled the blanket tighter around himself, trying to sleep. But his body shivered and his eyes stayed open. Nights were always the worst. People walked past him in the day, pretending not to see him. But at night, the cold tried to finish what hunger started. Just when he thought he might finally close his eyes, he heard something strange. It was not the sound of rats scratching in the garbage. It was not the sound of the wind. No, this was different. It was a weak gasp. A sound like someone struggling to breathe. The boy sat up quickly. His heart beat faster. He thought maybe it was a drunk man, or worse, someone dangerous. He looked into the darkness, his eyes searching. Then he saw it. Something moved in the shadows near the far wall of the bridge. The boy froze. At first it looked like a small body curled up. A child, maybe. But as he stepped closer, he realized it was not a child. Not a human child. The skin was pale and glowing faintly, almost like silver under the moonlight. The body was thin, fragile, and shaking. Its eyes opened for a second. Big, dark eyes that did not belong to any human. The boy gasped and stepped back. His heart raced. An alien. It was the kind of thing he had only seen in stories and drawings on old newspapers or whispered rumors about strange lights in the sky. But this was real. Right here in front of him. The alien child's lips moved, but no words came. It was too weak, too close to death. Its breathing was shallow. Every breath sounded like the last one. The boy's first thought was to run. If soldiers or police found this thing, they would take it away, maybe kill it. And if they found him near it, they might blame him. He had learned long ago that the world was not kind to the weak, but something stopped him. The alien's eyes. Those dark, wide eyes looked at him with fear and with a strange kind of pleading. Not a monster's stare, not an enemy's glare, just the same look the boy himself often gave to strangers when he was hungry, a look that begged for help. The boy's hands shook. He looked at his blanket. His only blanket. Without it, he would freeze before morning. He would get sick. Maybe he would die, but he looked back at the alien. It was shivering harder than him. Its thin chest rose and fell in painful gasps. It had nothing to cover itself, nothing to fight the cold. The boy bit his lip so hard it almost bled. His mind screamed, "No, don't do it." But his heart whispered something else. Slowly, with trembling fingers, he lifted the blanket off his shoulders. The cold bit into his skin immediately like sharp knives. He took one step closer, then another, until he was right beside the alien. The alien's eyes followed him, weak but still aware. Without saying a word, the boy bent down and covered the alien with his blanket. He tucked it gently around the fragile body, just like he remembered his mother once did for him long ago before she was gone. The alien let out a soft sigh, like relief. Its shaking slowed. Its eyes closed, not in death, but in rest. The boy sat back, hugging his knees to his chest. The cold air hit him harder now, cutting through his thin clothes. He could feel his teeth begin to chatter. He looked at the alien again. Wrapped in his blanket, it looked safer, warmer. For the first time in years, the boy felt he had done something good, but fear crawled into his heart. What if someone found them? What if this alien was dangerous? What if giving away his blanket meant he would not survive the night? He tried to push those thoughts away. He told himself it didn't matter. The alien needed it more than him. The boy leaned his head against the cold concrete wall. His body shook, but his eyes stayed on the alien until sleep slowly pulled him down. As the city lights blinked far away, and the night grew darker, the boy whispered to himself, "At least one of us will make it." He closed his eyes, never knowing if he would survive the night without the blanket. But above the clouds, far beyond his sight, something stirred. Something that would change his life, and the life of the entire world, forever. The first light of dawn touched the broken bridge. The city above began to wake with its usual noise, cars rushing, shop shutters opening, people walking fast to their jobs. But under the bridge, where the cold still lingered, The boy slowly opened his eyes. His body was stiff. His lips were dry and his breath came out in clouds of white mist. Every part of him felt heavy like stone. For a moment, he did not even remember what had happened last night. Then his eyes turned to the corner, the alien. He pushed himself up quickly, his heart racing, but what he saw froze him. The alien child was gone. The blanket, too. The space where it had lain was empty. Only a dark patch on the concrete where the alien's strange body heat had melted the frost. The boy's hands shook. His mind spun. Had it died in the night? Had someone taken it away? Had it walked away on its own? No, he whispered. His voice was hoarse from the cold. He stumbled to his feet and looked around. The shadows under the bridge gave no answers. There were no footsteps in the dirt, no blood, no sign at all. For a long moment, the boy just stood there staring at nothing. His chest tightened. He felt strange, empty, confused, and a little angry. He had given up his only blanket, his only shield against the cold, and now the alien had vanished, as if it had never been real. His stomach growled, pulling him back to the painful truth. He was still hungry, still cold, still alone. With slow steps, he climbed out from under the bridge. The morning air hit his face, sharp and unforgiving. People hurried past, eyes fixed forward, ignoring him as always. A woman pulled her child closer when she noticed his dirty clothes. A man in a suit muttered something under his breath and turned away. The boy lowered his head and walked. Each step felt heavier. He passed by a bakery, the smell of fresh bread curling into the air like a cruel joke. He pressed his hand against his empty stomach. His eyes stayed on the ground, but something strange caught his attention. A radio in a small shop nearby crackled with breaking news. The shopkeeper had left it on, and the boy stopped for a moment to listen. Strange lights reported in the night sky over several cities. Officials deny knowledge of any weather balloons or aircraft. Some citizens describe the lights as glowing silver. The boy's eyes widened. His chest tightened again. Silver, like the alien's skin. He stepped closer, but the shopkeeper noticed him and shouted, "Get away, boy! Don't stand there like a beggar." The boy quickly backed off, but his heart was racing now. Were the lights connected to the alien? Had it gone back to the sky? The questions burned inside him, but he had no answers. He walked on, shivering in the wind. Without his blanket, the cold seemed sharper, crueler. His teeth began to chatter. Still, in some hidden place in his heart, he felt a small warmth. A memory of the alien's eyes looking at him, that soft sigh it gave when he covered it. The way its body stopped shaking, he told himself it was worth it. Even if he never saw the alien again, at least he had saved something. For once he had given instead of losing. Hours passed. The boy wandered the streets, searching for food in trash bins, dodging angry shopkeepers, sitting on park benches until chased away. He felt weaker as the day went on. His vision blurred at times. The world around him carried on like he was invisible. People argued over bus fares, laughed on phones, drank hot coffee. Nobody saw the boy, just like nobody had seen the alien. But the sky, yes, the sky was different. In the late afternoon, clouds gathered in strange shapes. Dark shadows moved across the sun, and beams of light broke through in unusual patterns. People looked up, frowning, whispering. Some shook their heads and walked faster, but others stopped, uneasy. The boy noticed, too. He sat on the steps of a clothes store, hugging his knees. His eyes lifted to the sky. Something inside him whispered that this was not normal. The alien was gone, but maybe not forever. Night returned, wrapping the city in cold once more. The boy dragged himself back to the bridge. His body trembled without the blanket, but he curled against the wall, trying to find some rest. He closed his eyes, but the silence of the night felt different now. Not empty, waiting. Above him, hidden in the heavy clouds, something vast stirred again. The boy did not know it, but the choice he made last night was already echoing beyond Earth. The city never truly slept, but that night it felt uneasy. The boy sat under the bridge again, his thin body shaking without the blanket. He had managed to find half a sandwich in a trash bin earlier, but it was not enough. Hunger gnawed at him, and the cold dug into his bones. Still, his eyes kept lifting to the sky. All day the clouds had looked strange, moving in slow circles as if something heavy pressed against them. Now as darkness spread, the air itself seemed alive. The wind carried a low hum, a sound too steady to be thunder, too sharp to be wind. The boy hugged his knees and whispered, "It's coming." He didn't know what, but his heart told him. In the distance, car alarms went off one by one. Dogs barked wildly. The lights of tall buildings flickered. People stopped in the streets, confused, holding up their phones to record the sky. Then it happened. The clouds tore open with a sound like ripping metal. A blinding light poured through, flooding the streets below. The hum grew into a roar that shook windows and rattled bones. Gasps and screams filled the city. The boy crawled out from under the bridge, his eyes wide. Above him, massive shapes pushed through the clouds. They were not airplanes, not helicopters, not anything human. They were ships. Alien ships, dark metallic giants that floated without wings. Their undersides glowed with swirling circles of light as if powered by stars. One by one, they broke free from the clouds, blocking out the moon. The boy's breath caught. The same silver glow he had seen in the alien child's skin now blazed across the night sky. Aliens, people shouted. "It's an invasion!" Panic spread like fire. Cars crashed as drivers tried to escape. Parents pulled children into buildings. Alarms screamed from every direction, but the ships did not fire. They hovered, silent and watching. Then the air cracked again. Hundreds of streaks of light shot downward from the ships like falling stars. They moved fast, too fast to be missiles. The boy fell to the ground, covering his head, waiting for the explosion. But there was no explosion. The streaks slowed, glowing brighter as they neared the ground. When they landed, the boy saw them clearly. Warriors. 200 of them. Tall, armored figures, glowing faintly in silver and blue. Each one carried a weapon that hummed with deadly energy. Their helmets covered their faces, but their eyes burned through the darkness. Sharp and alien. They stood in perfect formation, rows upon rows, filling the street like an army ready to crush a world. The city froze in terror. Soldiers from Earth rushed forward with guns. Police shouted, aiming their weapons. Tanks rolled into the streets. Helicopters circled above, but the alien warriors did not react. They did not fire, did not charge. They only stood, their heads turning slowly as if searching for something, or someone. The boy pressed himself against the wall of the bridge, trembling. His heart pounded so hard he thought it might burst. He should have run, but his legs felt like stone. He could not look away. A strange thought struck him. They are not here to destroy. They are here to find. The crowd's fear grew. People screamed, pushing against each other to escape. The police shouted orders, but their voices cracked with panic. Then from the largest ship above, a deep sound rolled out. Not words, a call. A signal. The alien warriors lifted their heads at the same time. Their eyes glowed brighter. Then, as one, they began to move. The boy's breath caught in his throat. They were not moving toward the army, not toward the government buildings, not toward the rich and powerful towers of the city. They were spreading out, into the street searching. The boy's body shook harder. He remembered the alien child under the bridge. He remembered its big dark eyes, the blanket, the sigh of relief. And now he remembered the empty space where it had lain in the morning. Had the alien gone back to them? Did it tell them what happened? The thought filled him with fear and hope at the same time. What if they were looking for him? He pressed a hand to his chest, his heart racing like a drum. The sound of armored feet echoed through the streets as the warriors spread in every direction, their glowing eyes scanning every face. The boy swallowed hard. He felt invisible most of his life, but tonight under the broken sky he felt more visible than ever. He whispered to himself, "They're not here to kill us. They're here for me." The night above roared with the sound of alien ships. The streets below shook with the march of alien warriors. The city, once deaf to the cries of a homeless child, now stood frozen in fear. And the boy, with nothing left but his empty hands, waited as the galaxy itself seemed to close in around him. The city had never seen a night like this. The sky was broken open by giant alien ships. The streets glowed with the silver light of 200 warriors standing in perfect formation. Their armor shimmered, their weapons hummed, and their eyes scanned the world like burning stars. The boy crouched near the shadows of the bridge, his heart pounding. His thin body shook not only from the cold but from fear. He wanted to run, but his legs refused to move. The alien warriors did not attack. They did not fire their strange weapons. They only began to walk, slow, steady, unstoppable. And everywhere they went, silence followed. The police who had shouted orders now fell back, lowering their guns. Tanks stood still. Helicopters circled above, but no one dared fire. The soldiers on Earth understood in an instant. One wrong move and the city would vanish. But the aliens were not looking at armies or weapons. They were looking at faces. The boy pressed himself against the wall, watching as groups of warriors split apart. They marched down every street, their glowing eyes sweeping the crowds. People screamed and scattered, hiding in shops, apartments, and subway tunnels. Mothers pulled children close. Fathers stood frozen, praying, yet the warriors never touched them. They only searched. One warrior stopped near a group of police officers. The alien bent down, scanning their frightened faces, then moved on without a word. Another approached a group of rich men outside a tall hotel. The men begged, holding up money, offering whatever they had. The warrior's eyes glowed brighter, then dimmed, and it left them trembling in silence. The boy's chest tightened. He knew deep down what they were searching for. Him. The thought made him dizzy. His breath came quick and shallow. His hands clutched at the dirty concrete beneath him. He wanted to vanish, to melt into the shadows. But his heart whispered, "They know what you did. They know about the blanket." Above the city, the largest ship rumbled as if impatient. A voice echoed, not in human language but in deep, resonant sounds that rattled windows and shook the ground. The warriors moved faster now, their search sharper. The boy stumbled back into the deeper dark under the bridge. His mind screamed, "Why me? Why didn't I run last night? Why didn't I keep the blanket for myself?" But another voice inside him whispered, "Because you couldn't. Because you saw its eyes." His stomach twisted. He remembered that moment, the alien child's weak breath, the way it sighed in relief under the blanket. He remembered feeling for once that he mattered, that his kindness, his one small act, had value. Now that act had brought the galaxy down on Earth. The city above roared with chaos. Sirens screamed. Radios crackled with desperate orders from leaders who did not understand. Crowds stampeded, pushing and shoving in blind terror. But the warriors did not chase them. They kept searching, silent and calm, as if nothing could distract them from their mission. Then came the moment the boy had feared. A group of 5 warriors marched directly toward the bridge. Their heavy feet struck the ground in unison, each step vibrating through his chest. The boy's throat went dry. His body pressed tighter against the wall, hoping they would pass by. The warriors stopped at the edge of the shadows. Their glowing eyes pierced the dark, searching. One raised a hand and a thin beam of silver light shot out, sweeping across the ground like a scanner. The boy gasped and pulled back, but the light caught him. The warriors froze. Their eyes brightened instantly, burning like fire. The boy's heart stopped. His body shook so hard he could barely stand. He wanted to scream, but no sound came out. The leader of the group stepped forward. Taller than the rest, its armor gleamed with strange markings. It lowered its weapon and instead raised a hand. Not in anger, but in recognition. For a moment, silence ruled the world. Then the warrior spoke. Its voice was deep, layered like many voices speaking at once. The words were alien, but the boy felt their weight in his bones. The other warriors knelt. The boy's eyes widened in shock. Around him, people gasped, screaming from the safety of distant rooftops and alleys. No one understood what was happening. Why would these terrifying warriors kneel? To him? The boy's chest heaved. He shook his head, whispering, "No, I'm nobody. I'm nothing." But the warriors did not move. Their glowing eyes stayed fixed on him, waiting. The boy remembered the alien child. He remembered the sigh of relief when he covered it with his blanket. He remembered the empty space in the morning. The alien had told them. Somehow it had told them. The boy's breath caught in his throat as realization struck him. They were not here to conquer Earth. They were here to honor him. But in the shadows of the broken bridge, with fear pressing down on his heart, the boy could only tremble. He was the poorest, the weakest, the most invisible person in the city. Yet now, the eyes of an entire alien army burned into him as if he was the most important human alive. The world seemed frozen. 200 alien warriors stood across the city, their glowing eyes scanning, their heavy armor shining like molten silver. But under the bridge, 5 of them knelt before a trembling boy, a boy with no home, no family, no strength. Gasps echoed from the streets above. People leaned from windows, eyes wide. phones shaking in their hands as they filmed. Soldiers, police, even politicians watching on their screens all stood in silence. No one understood. Why would an army kneel before a child who owned nothing? The boy pressed his back against the cold wall, his chest rising and falling in quick breaths. His eyes darted from one alien to another. Fear strangled him. He whispered, I don't understand. Then, from the glowing light of the largest ship above, a beam struck the ground nearby. The concrete cracked, glowing like molten glass. From the beam, a small figure appeared. The boy's breath caught. His heart thudded hard in his chest. It was the alien child, the same one he had found under the bridge, the same one he had covered with his blanket. Now it stood tall and alive, no longer shivering, no longer weak. Its silver skin glowed softly. Its eyes, those big dark eyes, locked onto him. The boy's mouth fell open. He wanted to speak, but no words came. The alien child stepped forward slowly, the crowd's noise fading into silence. The warriors lowered their heads as it passed, showing respect. To them, this was no ordinary child. The boy felt his knees weaken. His body shook as the alien stopped in front of him. The world seemed to disappear until only the two of them remained. For a long moment, the alien child just looked at him. Its eyes softened, filled with something the boy had never seen in a stranger's face: gratitude. Then the alien held out its small hands. Wrapped in its fingers was the blanket. The boy gasped. His old, torn, dirty blanket, the only thing he had ever owned, was now folded neatly in the alien's grasp. Somehow it seemed different, glowing faintly as if touched by starlight. The alien held it toward him. The boy stared, frozen. He whispered, You came back." The alien nodded once. Its lips moved, and though the sound was not human words, the boy understood the meaning. "You saved me." Tears stung the boy's eyes. His chest tightened as he reached out with trembling hands. His fingers brushed the blanket. It was warm, not from the fabric, but from something deeper, an energy he did not understand. The alien placed it gently into his arms. Then, with slow grace, it did something that shocked everyone. It bowed. The alien child bowed to the homeless boy, lowering its head with respect. The warriors followed instantly. All across the city, 200 armored figures dropped to one knee, bowing to the boy in unison. The ground shook with the weight of their movement. Gasps turned into cries. People screamed in confusion. Soldiers lowered their weapons completely. Leaders watching on screens shouted questions, demanding answers. But none came. The boy stood frozen, holding his blanket, his heart pounding. "What, me?" he whispered. The alien child raised its head and spoke again. This time its words carried more strength. A strange echo, as if the entire sky spoke with it. The boy did not understand the language, but his heart felt the truth. "Because you gave when no one else would." The memory struck him hard. He remembered that night, the cold biting his skin, his empty stomach, his fear, and still he gave away his only possession. That one act, small and invisible to the world, now shook the galaxy. The alien child stepped closer. It reached out, its small hand brushing against the boy's shoulder. A warmth spread through him, easing his shaking body, calming his fear. And then, for the first time in years, he felt seen. Not as a beggar, not as a shadow, but as someone who mattered. Above, the largest ship rumbled again. A deep voice, layered and powerful, echoed through the air. The sound vibrated in every building, every bone. The warriors lifted their heads and looked at the boy with renewed fire in their eyes. The alien child spoke one last time, softly, but every warrior bowed deeper at its words. The boy clutched his blanket tighter. His mind spun. He wanted to run, but his legs would not move. He wanted to shout, but his voice failed. All he could do was stand there as the truth sank in. The alien child had chosen him. And now, the entire alien army recognized him, not as an enemy, not as a stranger, but as something far greater. The world around him buzzed with shock and fear. People shouted, cameras flashed, leaders demanded explanations. But none of it mattered, because at that moment, under the broken sky, a homeless boy who once had nothing had been recognized as the one who changed everything. The city was silent. Millions of eyes, from rooftops, windows, and glowing screens, were fixed on one impossible scene: a homeless boy clutching an old blanket, standing before an alien child and 200 kneeling warriors. The boy's heart pounded. His chest rose and fell quickly. His fingers clenched the blanket as if it was the only thing keeping him upright. The alien child stepped aside. From the largest ship above, a new beam of light struck the ground. The concrete cracked and smoked as a much larger figure appeared. The boy gasped. This was no child. This was a leader. The alien towered over the warriors, its armor heavier, its markings glowing with bright silver and blue patterns. Its eyes were sharp, ancient, and filled with power. When it moved, the air itself seemed to bend. The boy stumbled back a step, but the alien child touched his arm gently. A wave of calm spread through him, though his legs still trembled. The great alien leader raised its hand. Instantly, the warriors rose to their feet but kept their heads bowed. Silence fell deeper, so heavy that even the wind seemed afraid to move. Then the leader spoke. Its voice was not just sound. It was vibration, echo, power. Each word rolled across the city like thunder, but somehow the boy understood. Not in his ears, inside his mind. Among your kind, the voice said, we found only fear, cruelty, and silence. But one among you gave. The boy's eyes widened. He shook his head, whispering, me? No, I'm nobody. The leader's glowing eyes locked on him. You are not nobody, the voice boomed. You are proof. The boy's throat tightened. He clutched the blanket tighter. His mind spun with disbelief. The leader looked around, its gaze sweeping over the soldiers, the rich, the powerful, all frozen in shock. We tested your world, the alien continued. We left our child here, weak, dying, helpless. We watched. Leaders walked past. The strong ignored. The rich turned away. Not one hand reached out. The words cut through the air like knives. Shame rippled through the crowd. Heads lowered, but one child with nothing gave everything. The leader's voice grew softer but carried more weight. He gave not what was extra, not what was easy. He gave his only shield against the cold, an act small in the eyes of his people but greater than the power of armies. The boy's chest ached. His eyes stung. He remembered that moment clearly, the freezing night, the hunger in his belly, the fear in his heart, and still he had covered the alien child. He had not expected anything in return. He had not thought the universe was watching. The alien leader lowered its massive head, a gesture of respect. The warriors followed again, bowing deeply. The boy's lips trembled. I just didn't want it to die. The leader's eyes glowed brighter. And that is why you live. The words hung in the air, heavy and final. Then the leader turned its gaze to the skies, to the millions of humans watching. Its voice thundered once more, your world is spared. Gasps rippled across the city. Soldiers dropped their weapons. Civilians cried out. Leaders screamed into their radios, demanding answers, but none could deny the truth. The boy's knees weakened. His chest heaved. Spared? He whispered. The alien child touched his arm again, its voice soft in his mind. We came to judge. If no one helped, your world would burn. The boy's heart nearly stopped. His mouth went dry. They had not come to make peace. They had come to decide if humanity deserved to survive, and it had come down to him. The smallest, the weakest, the forgotten. His act, his single choice had saved Earth. The alien leader's voice rolled across the streets one last time. Remember this. Not wealth, not power, not armies. What saves worlds is kindness. The boy's eyes filled with tears. His hands shook as he clutched the blanket. No longer just a piece of cloth, but a symbol of everything he had ever endured. Around him, the people who once ignored him now stared with wide eyes, unable to comprehend. Soldiers stood stiff, ashamed. Mothers hugged their children tighter. Leaders hid behind their silence. But the warriors looked only at him. The boy felt small under their gaze, but he also felt something new. For the first time in his life, he was not invisible. For the first time, he mattered. The alien child looked up at him, its eyes shining with gratitude and trust. And though the boy's lips shook, though fear still pressed on his chest, he whispered softly, I didn't save the world. I just gave my blanket. The alien leader tilted its head. Its deep voice rumbled with something almost like a smile. And that was enough. The night sky still burned with silver light. Alien ships hovered above the city like silent moons, their shadows covering the world. 200 warriors stood in perfect lines, their armor glowing faintly, their weapons humming like living stars. And in the center of it all stood the boy, a child of the streets. A boy who once had nothing, a boy who had given away the only thing he owned. his blanket. Now he stood with an entire alien army kneeling to him. The people of the city watched in disbelief. From rooftops, from alleys, from glowing screens across the world, every eye was fixed on the boy. Some whispered, some cried, some simply stared, unable to understand how one so small could hold the attention of an empire. The alien leader stepped closer, towering over the boy. Its eyes glowed like suns, but its voice, when it spoke, was soft enough to echo only in his mind. "You saved more than our child," it said. "You saved your world." The boy swallowed hard. His lips trembled. "I didn't mean to. I just couldn't let it die." The leader bowed its massive head, and for the second time that night the warriors followed. The sound of 200 armored knees striking the ground thundered across the city. The boy's heart pounded. He wanted to hide, to disappear. But the alien child stepped forward and took his hand. Its touch was warm, steady, calming. The alien leader's voice rose again, booming across the street so that all of Earth could hear. "From this day, your world is protected. Not because of armies, not because of leaders, but because of one child who gave when he had nothing." The boy's knees shook. His head spun. He wanted to shout that he was not special, that he was just a hungry boy who had made a choice. But deep inside he knew it was true. It was not power that had saved Earth. It was kindness. The alien child lifted the boy's blanket high into the air. At once every warrior crossed their arms over their chest in salute. Their glowing eyes burned brighter, reflecting the small torn cloth as though it were a holy relic. Gasps and cries rippled through the watching humans. Soldiers lowered their weapons fully. Civilians wept openly. Leaders who once thought themselves the strongest men on Earth sat silent, powerless before the sight. The alien leader's final words echoed like thunder. "This child is now the protector of the weak. His kindness has bound us to your people. As long as your world remembers this act, you will never face our wrath." The boy's mouth fell open. Protector of the weak, him? The one no one had ever protected? Tears filled his eyes. He held the blanket close to his chest, his voice a broken whisper. "I don't deserve this." The alien child squeezed his hand gently. Its eyes told him what words could not. "You do." Above, the ships began to shift. Their glowing engines flared and the sky trembled. Slowly, they rose higher, the warriors lifting with them in beams of silver light. One by one, the mighty ships pulled back into the clouds, but not all of them. The alien child stayed. It turned to the boy, bowing deeply one last time before stepping into the beam of light. Its voice brushed against his thoughts like a soft wind. "We will remember you," and then it was gone. The sky closed behind them. The lights faded. The city stood silent once more, but forever changed. The boy remained under the broken bridge, clutching his blanket, the echoes of alien thunder still shaking his bones. Around him, people gathered slowly, unsure. Some stared at him with awe. Others whispered in fear. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Soldiers stood frozen, not knowing whether to salute him or arrest him. But the boy only looked at the sky. His eyes, once dull with hunger and loneliness, now shone with something new, hope. For the first time, he was not invisible. For the first time, he mattered. He had no riches, no power, no family. Yet with one act of kindness, he had saved the world. The city lights flickered back to life. The people returned to their homes, their shops, their cars. But their eyes were different now. They had seen what truly mattered, and the boy? He stayed under the bridge a little longer, hugging his blanket, staring at the stars. His stomach was still empty. The cold still bit his skin. But inside his chest, something had changed forever. He was no longer just a homeless boy. He was the boy who gave. The boy who saved humanity. The protector of the weak. And as he closed his tired eyes, a small smile touched his lips. Somewhere out there, beyond the stars, 200 alien warriors and their mighty leader remembered his name, and Earth would never forget.